Section 1. If you've ever found yourself stranded on a lonely road after midnight, you probably know how quickly an ordinary inconvenience can become something much darker. What happened to me during a late-night drive through Vermont still doesn't make sense. And even now, years later, I can't shake the memory of the face I saw watching me from the trees. I was driving from Maine to upstate New York to spend a week with family. I left work around 5:30 that evening, expecting the trip to be long but uneventful. Summer had settled in, and the night air was unusually warm, so I had removed the soft top from my Jeep Wrangler to enjoy the weather. For the first several hours, everything felt normal. The roads were mostly empty, the sky was clear, and the occasional stretch of highway disappeared into endless forests. It was well after 1 in the morning when everything started to change. Somewhere in rural Vermont, the gas warning light suddenly flashed on. A loud warning chime echoed through the Jeep, instantly replacing the peaceful silence. Normally, I wouldn't have panicked, but there was one problem. The gas gauge was broken, so I had absolutely no way of knowing how much fuel remained. My brother had borrowed the Jeep the day before and assured me he'd filled the tank completely before returning it. Based on the distance I'd driven, there was no reason I should have been close to empty. Either he'd been mistaken, or he had never filled it at all. I scanned the darkness ahead, hoping for any sign of civilization. A blue highway service sign appeared out of nowhere. I caught the familiar gas station symbol just before it disappeared into the darkness. Relief washed over me. I took the next exit without hesitation, expecting to find a brightly lit station only a minute or two away. Instead, I found myself on a narrow, isolated road surrounded by towering woods. The further I drove, the darker everything became. Then the Jeep jerked violently. The engine sputtered once, then again. A harsh rattling sound echoed beneath me before the vehicle lurched forward one final time and rolled silently to a stop. I stared through the windshield in disbelief. I had actually run out of gas. Section 2. For a few seconds I simply sat there, hoping the engine might somehow come back to life if I turned the key again. It didn't. The silence that followed felt strangely heavy. I grabbed my phone and immediately called AAA, giving them the exact location shown on my GPS. The dispatcher told me someone could reach me in roughly 20 minutes. It wasn't ideal, but at least help was on the way. With nothing else to do, I climbed out of the Jeep. The night was warm enough that standing outside actually felt comfortable. For the next 15 minutes, I wandered slowly around the vehicle, replying to messages from friends and joking about my bad luck. Every now and then I glanced up the road, expecting to see headlights approaching. None ever came. There were no distant engines, no passing traffic, no houses with porch lights glowing in the distance. Only crickets, only the whisper of wind through the trees. Eventually, I noticed another sound. Something was moving in the forest. The footsteps were slow but heavy enough to catch my attention. My first thought was that it had to be a deer, maybe even a black bear. Vermont has plenty of wildlife, and I tried to convince myself there was nothing unusual about hearing animals after midnight. Curiosity got the better of me. I walked around to the passenger side of the Jeep, closer to the tree line, hoping to catch a glimpse of whatever was making the noise. That's when I heard it. 2 loud claps. Not branches snapping, not wood knocking together. Someone clapping their hands. The sound echoed through the trees before everything became quiet again. I stood perfectly still. A few seconds later, 3 more claps. Every hair on my arm stood up. Without really thinking, I called into the darkness. Hello. My own voice sounded strangely small against the forest. No answer came back. The clapping stopped completely. The woods became so silent that I could hear my own breathing. I waited for almost a minute, expecting someone to laugh or step onto the road. Nothing happened. The silence felt wrong. That was the moment I decided waiting outside wasn't worth it anymore. I climbed back into the Jeep, locked the doors, and hoped the AAA truck would arrive before whoever, or whatever, had made those sounds decided to come any closer. Section 3. Inside the Jeep, I tried convincing myself I'd overreacted. Maybe someone had been hiking. Maybe another stranded driver was somewhere in the woods. Maybe the strange sounds had a perfectly ordinary explanation. Then the footsteps returned. This time they were unmistakably closer. Each step seemed deliberate, crunching through leaves before suddenly stopping. I slowly lifted my head and looked toward the trees. At first I couldn't see anything. Then I noticed it. Ahead, it was peeking from behind a tree only a short distance away. Even now, I struggle to describe what made it so disturbing. It wasn't covered in blood or twisted into something unnatural. It simply looked lifeless. The face barely moved. The eyes seemed empty. I couldn't even tell whether they were focused on me or staring through me. Instead of screaming, I found myself frozen, studying every tiny detail as if my brain refused to believe what I was seeing. My hands finally moved. I rolled up both windows as quickly as I could and switched off the headlights. The darkness swallowed everything. Without the lights, I couldn't even see beyond the hood of the Jeep. Normally, locking yourself inside a vehicle would offer some comfort. Mine didn't. The soft top had been removed hours earlier because of the heat. The doors were locked, but the entire roof was open. I was sitting inside what suddenly felt less like a vehicle and more like a trap. I slid down beneath the dashboard, making myself as small as possible. Outside, the forest came alive. Leaves shifted, insects buzzed. Somewhere far away, an owl called into the night. Every tiny sound made my heart race faster. I barely dared to breathe. All I could think about was whether that motionless face was still standing out there, silently watching the Jeep from the darkness while I waited for headlights that never seemed to come. Section 4. The minutes stretched endlessly. Every second felt longer than the last. I kept my body pressed low beneath the dashboard, listening with complete concentration. Then I heard footsteps again, not in the woods this time, right beside the Jeep. They stopped next to my door. My entire body tensed. A second later, someone grabbed the driver's door handle. The metal clicked sharply in the silence. I clenched my jaw and stayed perfectly still, terrified that even the sound of my breathing would reveal exactly where I was. The door remained locked. Whoever was outside didn't leave. I waited for fists to crash against the windows. I expected someone to reach over the open roof and unlock the door from the inside. That thought alone made my stomach twist. The Jeep suddenly felt terrifyingly exposed. Every possible way someone could reach me raced through my mind. Then, without warning, I felt a hand. It grabbed the back of my shirt with frightening force. The touch was so sudden and so aggressive that every instinct took over at once. I screamed, not a controlled yell, a full panic scream. At that exact moment, the grip disappeared. Almost simultaneously, bright white light flooded the road behind me. An engine echoed through the darkness. For one impossible second, I couldn't understand what was happening. Then I recognized the shape of a truck pulling toward the Jeep. AAA. Relief hit me so hard my legs almost gave out. I immediately sat upright and looked behind me. Whoever had grabbed me was gone. The trees stood perfectly still. There wasn't a single person visible anywhere around the vehicle. The only movement came from the approaching truck as it rolled to a stop behind me, its headlights washing over the roadside and the surrounding forest. The nightmare had ended as suddenly as it had begun, but I never saw who had been standing outside my Jeep. Section 5. I didn't waste another second. I jumped out of the Jeep and practically ran toward the AAA driver before he had even finished climbing out of his truck. He was a large man, probably in his 40s, with the calm confidence of someone who had spent years helping stranded motorists in the middle of nowhere. The moment he asked if I was all right, everything I'd been holding back came rushing out. I tried explaining what had happened between deep, uneven breaths. I told him about the footsteps, the strange clapping from the woods, the motionless face watching from behind the tree, the sound of someone trying my door, and finally, the hand that had grabbed the back of my shirt only seconds before he arrived. He listened without interrupting. Whether he believed every word or simply recognized genuine fear when he saw it, I never knew. But there was something reassuring about his presence. Standing beside that brightly lit truck made the road feel normal again. The oppressive silence seemed to lose some of its weight, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt like I could breathe. He filled the Jeep with enough fuel to get me safely back on the highway. The entire time, I couldn't stop glancing toward the tree line, half expecting that pale face to appear again between the trunks. It never did. Once everything was ready, we wished each other a safe drive and headed in opposite directions. The rest of my trip passed without another incident, but my mind never left that lonely road in Vermont. To this day, I still don't know who or what I encountered that night. Maybe it was a person hiding in the woods. Maybe someone had been watching stranded drivers, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Or maybe there was another explanation I'll never understand. What I do know is this: Even after all these years, I can still picture that lifeless head slowly peering around the tree. Sometimes, late at night, that image returns without warning. And every single time it does, I remember just how exposed I was, sitting alone in an open-top Jeep on a deserted road, waiting for help that almost arrived too late.